Peace and blessings, family. Welcome back to another episode of Learn with Shavern. Okay, in my previous episode, I mentioned that my hair was damaged because it was fried unbeknownst to me, like chemically processed. So we'll jump into that story. But before we jump into that story, this episode, and how it ties into self-image, we're going to talk about this whole robot thing because I just find these things fascinating. I thought it was interesting. These are the things that are not on the front page news, that are not discussed. I know this whole thing going on in Philadelphia, whatever, is a distraction. That's like the main thing on the news right now. But did you guys know that there's a Swiss firm called ABB Robotics, and they recently have invested $150 million for a factory of the future. So check this out. This factory is supposed to consist of robots that build things such as cars, small mobile devices, even maybe manufacture food, right? For those of you in those industries, you may want to either change your job skill or career skill, or create or do a new skill, because they're set to implement this bad boy by 2020. The plant stated to open by 2020, so that means that there's already things in the works and everything for that, for these robots to build other robot things. The Swiss firm is actually placing the factory in Shanghai, China, right? So usually, like, I know a lot of people say, oh, well, it's not happening in my country, so why should that affect me? But remember, most places tend to mimic certain things with each other. So just something to be mindful of. You never know if they want to experiment with that in your country, maybe in a small town, to see how it works out. Because at the end of the day, there's all these little, like, things that they do, you know, and they, meaning the powers that be, right? The people that have these, that allow these things to go on. So I just thought that was interesting. So now hopping into my story about my hair that I mentioned. So I decided to take a little break over the weekend, do a little bit of self-care, a little self-love, take care of my first self, and my second self, right? Clear that, organize that, get that ready for the week so I could have a positive, productive, prosperous, successful, abundant week, because I am deserving and I am worthy of such, right? These are all the things I affirm, and you should too, because again, you're amazing. So funny story about my hair. I became one of those people like constantly flipping on Instagram, right? Some like 8 months ago, I decided to take a break from Instagram, almost the same way that I'm currently taking a fast from television and music. So I deleted my Instagram account for like 3 months, I think. So anyhow, this is what prompted me to delete my Instagram account, and what prompted the current conditioning of my hair being chemically processed. So I'm flipping through Instagram and I see all these natural girls and how they're able to have 4C texture hair, which is my current texture hair. And they're able to straighten it, and then it curls back to their 4C, state. So I decided to experiment with this, and my error was I went to a Dominican hair salon. I'm sitting in the salon, and I like to only condition my hair. So I'll tell them to only put conditioner in it, and the conditioner smells funny. I'm sitting underneath the hair dryer. Excuse me. I'm sitting underneath the hair dryer, and I'm like, this conditioner smells kind of funny, but whatever. So now, long story short, 3 months later, I decide to put braids in my hair. I put braids in my hair. After I take the braids out, after like another 3 months after that, I got like this much new growth, like a ridiculous amount of new growth. So I compared the new growth to the ends of my hair and realized the ends of my hair are all stringy. There's no curl pattern to it. It doesn't even coil, nothing. So I'm like, they really did perm my hair. That funny smell was the process. That's why it seems so familiar to me. And it's been 4 years before that happened. It was 4 years since I put any type of chemical on my hair. So now I'm like in the process of like retransitioning again, but I refuse to do the big chop. If you guys follow me on Instagram at Learn with Shavern, I put that today. I posted a picture about that I refuse to do my big chop despite this happening to me, but it was out of my own, it was a result of my own laziness. I have really thick hair and I didn't want to put in the work that it would take to straighten and blow dry my hair itself, because once time is spent, you can't get it back. And the way that my life is designed, that type of time is just non-existent. So what I decided to do instead is just be appreciative of my current state, not allow outside influences to affect how I view myself and my vessel, right? Because we all are created in our own special way, and we are all great within our own way. And sometimes when we attempt to do things outside of ourselves or outside of your scope, as I mentioned in one of my previous episodes, trying to do things outside of your scope. So that was outside of my scope. I look at that as that was the universe's way of telling me to be appreciative of your natural state, and that is what you get for trying to make an alteration other than how you were made. So lesson learned there today, right? With that, not just today, but like in that moment, I just wanted to share because I know I mentioned that in my video and I just want to revisit it about that. Don't fall short to comparing yourself with an image outside of yourself, right? Be appreciative. Live vicariously through me in the air of my ways of thinking that I could do something like somebody else and it come out as successful, right? And maybe, I don't know what their hair journey is, or maybe they wanted their hair to stay straight. Who knows? Who knows? You never know what people are really going through behind closed doors. But I actually really love my coily hair. I don't regret it for anything. Like I love that it's full. I love that it coils. I love that I can do different things with it. I am appreciative of it as it is. And I learned that changing it, that type of change anyway, was not befitting for me. So duly noted. I don't know if you guys caught that Steve Harvey snippet or video that's been going around where he talks about whatever you're good at, be great at that thing. And I think the examples that he used was like frying chicken and doing hair, something like that. That's along the lines of what we've been talking about this whole time. And I want to give a few shout outs to like everybody who has been implementing the acts of self-love, self-care, taking a break from things that are not serving their higher selves, you know what I'm saying? Treating their first and third selves with love, speaking kindly to themselves. I want to commend you guys. Kudos to you. Shout outs to you guys for doing it. I am proud of you, and you should be proud of yourselves too, because you're awesome and amazing. And again, don't forget that. You have to remind yourself of that every day. The same way you are conditioned every day to think that you're less than, right? Like I succumbed to thinking I was less than this image of this woman who was able to make her coily hair now bone straight and go back to coils. And sometimes these illusions, we get caught up in them, right? Sometimes not all self-fulfilling prophecies are a pass. Sometimes they can be a fail. In my instance, that was a fail. However, in the Steve Harvey snippet that he mentioned, sometimes you can do something that somebody else did and be just as great, if not greater than them at it. So if you're good at cooking or sewing or doing hair or creating art, whatever your craft or gift is, do that thing. What's stopping you from doing it? And be careful what you ask for, right? Because you have a craft and your gift, and it may seem like it can overwhelm you, but embrace your gift. Embrace the fact that the God or goddess in you, right, blessed you with this divinity to share it with humanity, to make others happy, because that's why we're here, to be happy, to live a human experience filled with love. And of course there's pain with it, but that's a whole nother story we'll get into as to why the human experience requires pain to learn. Because if you notice, your lowest points of life or where you're meant to learn the deepest or the most lessons. So that's a type of pain, but pain can come in different levels. I hope you guys have a wonderful, positive, productive day. Peace and blessings, family. And remember, you're amazing.